Okay, this video, I'm gonna get to the bottom line because this crap has gone on too long now. It's gone too far, and that's what over 95% of you people out there have forgotten, and which my relatives fought for in the Revolutionary War, and it is one word: the Constitution. Law of the land, supreme to any other laws. And I'm going to get into why all this quarantine crap, stay home, stay 6 feet apart, don't travel, wear a mask, interfering with interstate commerce is all illegal. But first, I'm going to play a clip of what the little Nazis are up to now. I couldn't believe it. It was on Fox News tonight, May 28th. Well, it's 12:35, so it was actually May 27th, Fox News. And here it is. Here it is. Let's play it.
Social Security benefits? Call us, Morgan & Morgan.
According to health experts, contact tracing is one of the key ways to curb the spread of COVID-19.
We spoke to one North Georgia health official about how the process works and what it means if you get a call. The Fox Medical Team's Beth Galvin explains.
I hang up.
It's a scenario that many of us could experience in the weeks and months ahead. You get a call from your local health department.
How do they know your number?
Telling you you've been exposed to someone who's tested positive for COVID-19. What are you supposed to do? We talked to the director of infectious diseases for the North Georgia Health District about how contact tracing will work.
I think they're mostly understanding.
She and her team at the North Georgia Health District are doing a little coronavirus connect the
A little
dots.
trendy mask. It doesn't filter crap.
For COVID-19, their team of 34 contact tracers interviews the person
Nazis.
by phone, and then they try to track down everyone that person might have come into close contact with recently, which the CDC defines as being within 6 feet of someone for more than 15 minutes.
Typically, it's going to be your household contacts.
To try to slow the spread of this novel coronavirus, they're asking contacts to stay home and quarantine for 14 days while staying on top of their symptoms.
Can't do it.
It's a hard ask.
We do run the gamut. We have people that are not happy about it and don't want to participate.
You're so dumb, lady.
Most everybody that we're working with.
How dumb you are.
It's not, we provide the education.
It's
not just a blind call either.
Close contacts are being asked to get tested for COVID-19 and track their symptoms using a smartphone app provided by the Georgia Department of Public Health.
Daily, they log in either via text or phone call, and we ask them to monitor their symptoms and monitor their temperature twice a day, and so they'll report that daily to us. If they're not able to utilize the app, then they also have the ability to make a phone call.
And then there's the language
From
barrier.
jail.
We have a large Hispanic community in our district, and unfortunately the app does not have the Spanish language, and that is something that they're hoping to correct, but it's only in English.
And if you're in quarantine and you're supposed to be checking in every day and you're not, your health district will check in with you. And if you still don't comply, you could face a misdemeanor. But Gregory says they have not had to go that far just yet. For your Fox Medical Team, I'm Beth Galvin.
In Georgia, the COVID-19 death toll is nearing 2,000, with 38 additional deaths in the last 24 hours. The number of patients in the hospital has gone up to 910. That is roughly 50 more than yesterday. In the top 3 hardest hit counties, you can see the new number of cases reported today alone are nearing 200 in each county. That is Fulton, DeKalb, and Gwinnett.
Let's see him.
Also, the state
Let's see the
Department of
proof.
Public Health is distributing more than 18,000 new vials of remdesivir. It is the third shipment of the drug to hospitals.
You should kill yourself
This
with that,
time,
yeah.
Nearly 85 hospitals will get it. It's enough to treat about 1,600 COVID-19 patients, depending on the duration of a person's illness.
Well, Governor Kemp continued his tour of medical pods at Georgia hospitals. The governor made a stop in Macon.
That's enough, or I want to barf. Okay. Now, there you go. They want to milk this baby out, and that's just that's just a step away from the damn death camps. Nazis in masks. So the swastika, they got masks on, I guess. Now we're gonna go over why this is illegal as hell. Okay? And it's called the Constitution of the United States. Okay, and before I read that, we're going to read, first of all, this is from what I got from a guy's channel. He's a constitutional lawyer. And he was saying that there are two views on the Constitution, the Federalist versus state, where they came up with an incorporation doctrine. In 1791, the Bill of Rights, let me just put this back to, not so, yeah, a little bit better there. Leave this here for a second. Because no one, originally, no one thought the Bill of Rights applied to any government except the federal government. No one thought the Bill of Rights was enforceable by the federal government on the states. And even the preambles did that. More restrictive clauses on the federal government because of concern of federal government having too much power. 1925, the federal courts, after the ratification of the 14th Amendment in 1868, the federal courts began taking position that the Bill of Rights were incorporated on the states by selective incorporation by a case-by-case, here and there basis. Now, Judge Napolitano, who used to be on TV, they kicked him off. He's got a channel on YouTube now. Judge Napolitano is a constitutional lawyer and a judge. He asked the question, can the government restrict travel due to health crisis? Quarantine without proof of contagion? Short answer is no. We know that under the Fifth Amendment, if any government, state, or federal wants to impair the life, liberty, or property of any person, they must follow due process of law. So a pro-indoctrination question. That means in order to do that, they have to set up a trial for every person confined. Can you confine persons to protect the health of others? He says yes, but so to ask people on a block or a zip code or a state to stay home would be an egregious violation of due process. You cannot curtail natural rights by decree. And a fair trial must be given, not one mandated by mass hysteria. In 1776, John Adams said, fear sets the stage for government to take power, and government rarely takes power temporarily. So, in order to quarantine anyone, each person has to have a fair trial prior to doing any of this. Then another constitutionalist named Brian McClanahan asked the question, can government set up a quarantine? Trump has acknowledged state government do a better job than he can. He says you should tell the general government, which the original people that wrote the Constitution didn't call it the federal government. They called it the general government. He says they should tell the general government to just stick it. But states are still, now here's a key word, states are still confined to the Constitution. But no one is mentioning that. That's the first thing I thought of. The first thing that I thought of when I heard that the business I was at was going to be closed for 2 weeks. The first thing out of my mouth, and I have witnesses, is that they can't do that. It violates the Constitution. I got an argument with a lady in line over it. And I, quite frankly, and she argued with me. I said, this virus sounds like a lie. And she starts, raising her voice at me. And I said, I just think people like you ought to be dumped out in a parachute over Saudi Arabia. I don't think you belong to live in a free state that my relatives fought for. Wilson and Hamilton, okay. And also, there are no emergency powers in the Constitution. So when they make emergency powers, the president cannot make an emergency power, the Congress can't. For instance, like the Second Amendment, unless, in other words, so Congress cannot add powers or take away powers that have already been delegated. And there are no emergency provisions in the Constitution. 0, none. Go read it. Yet, Congress gave itself the power to regulate public health and safety under various pretexts. They also, in 2012, just Google it, Google the words, they passed a bill stating that they can now tell lies and propaganda to the American people through the press, which was previously illegal. Why? Because they want to lie to us. That was in 2012. Madison said, more and more power for this emergency or the next is boiling us alive, and is how tyrants creep in, not by force. Think about it, people. And now I'm going to read you. Here we are. Article, the Constitution and laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties are made, which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judge in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of the state to the contrary notwithstanding. The senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. Oops, I went too far here. To support this Constitution. But no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust. Now we're going to get down to, this is your answer when they tell you to sit home. So let's see, how do they say it? This stupid crap that I gotta hear every day. Stay home. Stay, wear your mask. Don't go anywhere. This is what you tell them. Tell them to stick it first, okay? They call, you hang up on them. And you tell them the ratification okay, let's go down to, Georgia was signed by William Few and Aber Baldwin. Okay, so the 14th Amendment is the constitutional law that the states go by. Due process clause. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Both the 5th Amendment and the 14th Amendment to the Constitution prohibit governmental deprivations of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment serves three distinct functions in modern Constitution doctrine. In the words of the Supreme Court in 1986, first, it incorporates against the states specific protections defined in the Bill of Rights. Second, it contains a substantive component, sometimes referred to as substantive due process. Third, it is a guarantee of fair procedure, sometimes referred to as procedural due process. Modern law interprets the 5th and 14th Amendments to impose the same substantive due process and procedural due process requirements on the federal and state governments. The federal government is constricted by the 5th Amendment, where they can't tell you to stay home, and the states by the 14th. That's what you tell them. And you take them to court over it if they try to tell you otherwise. As well as the definition of life, liberty, or property as a range of interests protected by the respective due process clause is addressed in more detail in the essay on due process in the 5th Amendment. This essay will address substantive due process and the use of the 14th Amendment's due process clause as a vehicle for incorporating selected provisions of the Bill of Rights against the states. So, that's the bottom line. Okay? They can't do that. They can't do that. They can't do any of this crap. And that's all I have to say here.